We're going to illustrate how you can now take the same test cases that you've designed and debugged interactively in the IDE and then used for automation, for running test suites, how we can use those same test cases to create and run traffic models. You can reuse those functional scenarios. We're going to go to the traffic modeler, and in order to create a traffic model, there are several elements to it. First, we need to create a traffic mix. And again, for the demo purposes, it's been pre-created. You can see that it consists of the same functional test cases that we've run in automation, the web services test cases. And the update product price test case shows 30%. And then there are a couple of get operations. The other two test cases are get operations. And get operations run at 70% of the overall rate. Within those get operations, there are two test cases. One is list products, and the other one is get product detail. Both of them run at 50% respectively relative to the get operations. So we can change those relative percentages and see now this is 29 and this is 70. It doesn't add up to 100, so it lights up as red. We go back to 30, and now it says that this is valid. So we're going to keep it at 30 and 70, and then 50 and 50 within get operations, and we will save that. And then we will need to define a traffic profile for this. So the traffic profile shows how the traffic rate will change throughout the traffic run. And we can design various segments within this traffic profile. This profile consists of two segments. One is 2 minutes long and runs at 50% of target rate. This is this segment right here. And then we're ramping up to the 50% of target rate for 20 seconds. So this shows that ramp up period of time from 0 to 50%. The second segment runs for 5 minutes, and we're ramping up to it for 20 seconds as well. And then it runs at the 100% of target rate. So this shows the portion that I've just described. Now we also have a repetition factor. The repetition factor is 2 right now. Let me take it to 1. You can see how this changed. So this is what we've designed. And then I introduce this repetition factor, and now it repeats the same sequence of segments as many times as it says right here. So if I go to 3, it'll repeat it yet another time. So we're going to save this traffic profile right now. And it's saved, and we go back. And finally, we need to create the actual traffic model. In the traffic model, we will specify which traffic mix we want to run with which traffic profile. And we can change the traffic profile or the traffic mix to different ones and recombine them in various ways. So we're going to run web services test traffic mix with web services test profile. We will also specify the target rate, and in this case is 300,000 test cases per hour. So it's in thousands per hour. We will also specify how often we want to see updates of how many test cases originated, passed, or failed. So from here, we can actually execute this traffic model and see how it runs. So now the traffic is running. is going to run for 14 minutes, so we're going to skip ahead. So now the traffic has run for a little while, and we can see that it's updating. The graph is moving as the reports are being generated every 20 seconds. In this view, we see how many test cases started, passed, and failed within the last 20-second update. And down below, we see how many test cases started, passed, and failed since the beginning of the traffic run. And this is the elapsed time since the beginning of the traffic run. For the purpose of this demonstration, the test cases were specifically designed so that 2 of them will pass 100% of the times, and 1 of them will pass 90% of the times and fail 10% of the times. We can select which test case or which part of the traffic mix we're viewing on the graph. So if we go to this update product price test case, we can see how at which rate it's running, and then we can see that it's failing here and passing there. So we can visualize how many test cases passed or failed. If we select any other test case, we can select get operations. All of them are now passing, so the failure rate is 0, and then the passing graph tracks the expectation and the originations. We can toggle what we see. We can look at just the failures. Let's select the, we can toggle just the failures and see what test cases are failing. And then we can see the failure logs down below. We're not reporting logs for past test cases because they're all going to look the same, but when a test case failed, we need to investigate why it failed, so the error logs are reported in this pane right here. We skipped ahead to the end of the traffic run to see that it has completed successfully. We can also see the total number of executed test cases and how many of them passed or failed. We have now seen that we can design a set of test cases, debug and execute them individually using the IDE or the drag-and-drop modeler. We can then take these test cases, add them to test suites, and run them in automation. We can add them to our DevOps pipeline to run as a part of product verification. And then we can also create traffic models using the same set of test cases and run them in traffic. And that concludes our demonstration.